Breaking news! Something's happening inside the Baltimore Ravens locker room, and it's not just injuries or losses. There's tension, there's frustration, and there's a growing sense that something much deeper is unfolding behind the scenes. Players are falling apart, coaches are struggling, and for the first time in years, it feels like the Ravens might actually be falling apart. But what's really causing this collapse? Is it a problem in the locker room? Is the front office panicking? Or is it something even bigger than that? But before we dive into the full story, be sure to like this if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages cheering for this team. And if you'd like, comment "Go Ravens" in the comments to show your support, even when things get tough. Now let's get to the point, and trust me, you'll want to know everything. The Ravens are 1-4. Yes, 1-4. That's not a typo, and it's not a drill. Only 4 teams in NFL history have started with this record and still clawed their way into the postseason. The 1970 Bengals, 2016 Chiefs, 2018 Colts, and 2020 Washington football team are the rare exceptions, not the rule. That means, while the door is still cracked open, it's barely hanging on the hinges. This game against the Rams feels like a must-win not just because of standings, but because of morale, identity, and a rapidly shrinking margin for error. And here's the kicker, Baltimore is stepping into this game battered, bruised, and, frankly, running out of answers. The loss against Houston wasn't just a bad beat, it was a statement about where this team currently is, especially on the defensive side. The Ravens practically fielded a practice squad out there. No Roquan Smith, no Marlon Humphrey, no Kyle Hamilton, no Ozier, no heavy hitters. The soul of the defense, missing. And while John Harbaugh said there's hope for a few guys to return, he made it clear that not all are coming back. Realistically, you might see Kyle Hamilton and Ronnie Stanley suit up, but Roquan and Humphrey, don't hold your breath. And if you think Lamar Jackson is a sure thing, he's not. All signs point to him sitting this one out with the bye week looming. And that's where things get dicey. Because without Lamar, everything, and I mean everything, is harder, starting with the run game. Derrick Henry, a man brought in to be a bulldozer for this offense, looks like he's stuck in neutral. And that's not an exaggeration. Over the last 2 games, he's carried the ball 23 times for 75 yards. That's 3.2 yards per carry. And it gets worse. Against the Texans, he managed just 33 yards on 15 carries, one of the worst outings of his career. Sure, he found the end zone once, but that's not the Derrick Henry this team thought they were getting. And you can't just pin it all on him. This offensive line has been atrocious. Outside of Tyler Linderbaum, who posted a 68.5 run blocking grade, nobody, and I mean nobody, cleared even a 58. Daniel Falale, Roger Rosengarten, Andrew Voorhees, Joseph Noteboom, all of them were beat like drums at the line of scrimmage. Falale in particular, a 43.2 grade. That's cut-worthy. You want Henry to produce? He needs at least a second to hit the gap before getting swarmed by 5 defenders. But right now, the O-line's making that impossible. Let's be real, part of Henry's decline might be tied to Lamar's absence. Without the threat of a mobile quarterback keeping defenses honest, teams are stacking the box and daring Cooper Rush to beat them. And he's not doing that. Not even close. Speaking of Cooper Rush, 3 interceptions last game. But if you dig deeper, the story gets more frustrating. 1 pick was squarely on him. Bad throw, bad read, deserved turnover. But the other 2? 1 bounced off Mark Andrews' hands. The 3rd, Rashad Bateman gave up on his route, just flat out stopped running. Kamari Lassiter kept sprinting, grabbed the pick, and Bateman was nowhere to be found. You just paid this guy, and that's the effort you get? It's unacceptable. Andrews and Bateman both need to step up. You've got a backup QB. Your job is to make him look better, not worse. And that brings us to what might be the most disturbing trend of all, this team's first down defense, or lack thereof. Houston repeatedly gashed Baltimore on first down, 8 yards, 6 yards, 21 yards, 10-yard touchdowns. Only 4 times did they even face a third down longer than 5 yards. That's mind-blowing. The Ravens are essentially giving opponents a free pass down the field. You don't force long third downs, you don't get stops. It's that simple. On the other side of the ball, the Ravens' first down offense was equally dismal. 6 first down plays in the first quarter resulted in just 8 total yards. That's an average of 1.3 yards per play. You can't run a functional offense from behind the sticks every single drive. That's why this team struggled to convert on third down. Only 2 third downs all game were shorter than 5 yards. That's a recipe for disaster. And perhaps most importantly, this team seems to be lacking something even more fundamental than healthy bodies or crisp execution. Heart, grit, identity. This is a team that gave up against Detroit, folded against Kansas City, and looked completely lifeless against Houston. You want to wear the Ravens jersey? Then play like a Raven. Bring that pride, that toughness, that fire that used to define this franchise. Where is it? Let's keep going. The question was whether this is the lowest moment of the Harbaugh era. And if we're being brutally honest, it just might be. Because what we're watching isn't just a team that's losing games. It's a team that looks like it doesn't know how to win anymore. A team that can't finish drives, can't get off the field, and can't find a leader when it matters most. And that's what should worry fans the most. Not the injuries, not the record, but the lack of identity. The Ravens have always been built on culture, a team that hits hard, plays with pride, and never quits. Right now, that culture looks like it's cracking. You've got your running back getting smothered, your backup quarterback hanging in the wind, your receivers giving up on routes, and your defense playing soft on the most basic down in football, first down. That brings us to coaching. John Harbaugh is one of the most respected coaches in the league, but there are no excuses left. This isn't just about bad luck. This is about preparation, discipline, and accountability. The miscommunications on defense, the pre-snap penalties, the lifeless offensive drives, that's coaching. You've had 5 games to figure this out, and every week it feels like the same story on repeat. And now, fans are starting to wonder, is Harbaugh still the guy to turn this around? Let's talk strategy heading into this Rams game. Because while the Ravens have plenty of problems, there are answers if they're willing to make bold moves. Start with the offensive line. Daniel Falele has been an outright liability. He's slow off the snap, he's missing assignments, and he's a turnstile in pass protection. You can't keep throwing him out there expecting different results. Roger Rosengarten hasn't been much better. The offensive staff needs to either simplify the scheme or start rotating in fresh bodies, because what they're doing now isn't working. You're never going to get a clean pocket for Rush or running lanes for Henry behind this line. And let's not kid ourselves, the quarterback situation is dire. If Lamar isn't ready, and all signs point to him sitting, the Ravens need to do more than just survive with Cooper Rush. They need to scheme for him, get the ball out of his hands quickly, play action, rollouts, short reads, build rhythm. Don't just let him stand back there and get slaughtered. But the real elephant in the room? Turnovers. The Ravens aren't good enough right now to give the ball away 3 times a game. They're not explosive enough, not deep enough. If they want to win Sunday, they have to play clean football, which means no tipped passes from Mark Andrews, no jogged routes from Bateman, and no late throws from Rush. Protect the football like your season depends on it, because it does. Now let's flip it to the defense. This unit, once the pride of the franchise, is in shambles. And it's not just about missing Roquan or Hamilton. It's about effort, angles, tackling, intensity. Against Houston, the Ravens looked like they were playing at half speed. You let the Texans, a team with an improving quarterback and shaky O-line, walk down the field. You gave up chunk plays on every first down. That's not injuries. That's mentality. You want to win this game? Force the Rams to earn their yards. Don't let them coast into 2nd and 2 every drive. Tighten up the coverage. Be aggressive at the line. If the Rams are going to beat you, make them fight for it. And for God's sake, tackle. This isn't college. This is the NFL. Wrap up and finish. There's also the issue of leadership. Who's stepping up right now? Who's grabbing the face mask of this team and dragging them forward? Ray Lewis isn't walking through that tunnel. Ed Reed isn't coming back. This is a locker room full of guys who need to find that fire within themselves. The vets need to lead. Justin Tucker, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, Kevin Zeitler. Speak up, set the tone, because if nobody's talking in that room, then the season's already over. One more thing before we wrap this up. The fans, you, are the heartbeat of this franchise. And right now, you're being tested. You've supported this team through good and bad, and it's fair to feel frustrated. But that MNT